I'm gonna be hitting an area that I've never hit before. It just looks fishy, so you're probably looking at about a 25 to 30 mile round trip.
Right now in Corpus Christi, it's 52 degrees and cloudy. Today, it'll be cloudy with a forecasted high of 55 and a low of 47.
On this episode of Next Level Fishing. More than likely, if you go into it budget friendly, definitely get a 100 amp hour deep cycle marine grade battery. This is a 109 amp hour to be exact, and this is the most important part, is your charger. So like most stores will sell you something like this, good for those I don't know, deer feeder batteries. They usually output about 1 amp, but this one right here, for something similar, its output is 10 amp at 12 volts. So this is going to charge your battery like overnight, if not less. So I've drained this out completely, and I've had this thing ready to go 5 a.m. It does a pretty good job. So yeah.
My name's Chris Castro.
Hey, what time does it show the wind calming down?
What is calming down?
Well, just like what does the afternoon say?
12 to 15, 8 to 10. After 12, it should go all the way down to under 10.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay. So like at 10 o'clock, what is that showing?
At 10 o'clock, it's in between 15 and 20.
Oh, that's not bad, dude. So then at 6 a.m.?
At 6 a.m. and 17 to 30.
Oh, wow. So it's gonna be blowing then. All right. Bye. Good morning. Tomorrow's gonna be interesting. Big front, gale force winds. Don't know what time we're gonna be launching, but it's gonna be sketchy nonetheless, and things should be getting better as the day goes on.
I said let go.
Big old marsh trout. Looking for redfish, but opening up with some big old marsh trout. How about that, huh? Fun lure to catch fish on. As soon as you start retrieving it, will sort of dive on you a little bit. Not much, maybe a few feet. Just kind of depends on how fast and how much line you have out. But I'm able to kind of keep it right at about, oh, I don't know, probably about 2 feet. See if we can do it again. There's some fish out here that's kind of blowing up. found her right there. And she wasn't going nowhere. I mean, you can see her right there. 2 trebles got her. That's a tough one right there to get loose from. Oh man, we ain't wasting any time today, boys.
The wind in South Texas is no joke, but you'll have to accept it in order to succeed. Part of that success can be found in understanding conditions and letting that decide what lure presentation you're going to apply.
All right, so I'm not going to spill the beans, but I'm going to show you a couple examples of what I mean by that. And you know, marsh fishing today, this is pretty much generic, even though it's all jacked. Hammered some reds on this one and it just opened her up. But at any rate, this is sort of like marsh fishing 101, right? Everybody's gonna have their preference on the type, whatever. You know, I use AM fishing a lot. Big fan of the garlic. The stinkier the better. And everybody should have some form of this, whether it's a paddle tail, grub tail, whatever it is, always. But when we talk about changing things up and sort of adapting, letting conditions dictate what you're gonna be throwing, you know, you guys just saw this one get hammered. I've caught a few on it. It's pretty beat up. I don't know if you guys can see that. No, probably not. Anyway, at any rate, so it's super important to make sure that you have at least 3 or 4 different styles. I'm just going to use 2 for simplicity. So let's talk about those conditions and why I will switch up to this versus that. You know, going back to the wind, if your lure is not effective and it's not doing what it needs to or designed to do, if you're not fishing it effectively, then you need to switch up to something that is or can fish effectively in high wind situations. So I think this next part is super important. All right, fishing with this in super high end environments, even go into a heavier jig head just so that you can work a specific column, doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to be able to fish this effectively. I've had situations actually this past week where it didn't matter what size of jig head I had. I actually had to let the current just let this kind of tumble in order for me to catch fish. Now I caught fish, but that's not actually using this effectively. What I was able to do though is capitalize on many more reds that were hunkered down on a specific shoreline, and with the wind, with the waves crashing, a lot more noise, you go to something that has a little bit more of a noise attractant and something that can actually go through the water despite wind and current. No matter how hard you rip slash this, it's going to do what it's designed to do because of the little lip there. So this will travel and is perfect for that 2-3 foot kind of shallow water environment. Sometimes you can drag stuff on the mud, and you know what, if certain hatchings are right and that's what the reds are kind of looking for and digging up, then you may just use this all day long and be successful. If not, you know, and let's say the reds are on a different feeding pattern and they're going after maybe more bait style, switch up to this or something similar to it. It can even be smaller if you want to match the hatch, then by all means do so. But those are 2 things that I do when fishing different lures and letting the environment, conditions dictate what I'm going to be using. Redfish has me holding on to my rod with 2 hands. That's when you know it's been a while. That's about a 8.3, I would say, roughly around there. Like an 8 point, like just barely over 8 pounds. Beautiful. This is an AM fishing lure. We're gonna go with, it actually glows, but it's white, it smells like garlic, and I just love the way that this pink jig head looks. I forget the name, I'll post a link of it.
on who makes this jig. Been a pretty big fan of them. You know, I do got to sharpen them every now and then, but they're all right. They're pretty good, enough for me to feel confident with them, especially on a tournament day. So we caught that really nice trout early on. It was about a 4.5 pounder. Not surprised looking back at logs, and I tend to forget that stuff, you know. So if you guys are out there and you keep track of things, patterns, don't forget about that. You know, I did today, and I looked back and I was like, you know what? The timing is actually pretty much right, and I'm just seeing a lot of ocean out here. Got another one here, boys. Solid one. This is about a 27 3/4 on the yak gear board, which is a good thing. So even if a yak gear board is touching 28 or maybe just a pinch over, typically on a checkage stick, you'll be fine. Whenever I've been on a tournament scene and I'm hitting that 9 mark, I'm usually at about like a 9.2, 9.3, believe it or not, which I know is like almost 9.5. And it's there. It's right in between 9 and 9.5 pound red. So it's pretty dope. That's a 9 pound red, folks. Whee! Game fishing, direct to braid, cast line. Guys, thanks for tuning in. If you enjoyed this content, don't forget to like, subscribe, share it with your friends. And I would love to hear about what works for you out in these environments. How do you switch it up? What sort of different presentations do you use? Let's talk about it. See you on the next one.